Dun, 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 dun. Hey guys, Johnny223 coming out to the video tonight. Today is going to be a little bit different. I watched a video on TeamDarkArmedMonarch's channel about Project Doc. And what this is he wants to make a documentary about the life of a Yu-Gi-Oh player. So this is going to be like a video response to him, but also a video for you guys. And I'm going to go through my entire backstory for Yu-Gi-Oh, for Yu-Gi-Tube, why I'm doing this, why I'm still playing, all that stuff. So we're going to go back to the year 2001. I was 14 going on 15, and when I hit 15 that summer of freshman and sophomore year of high school, I discovered Yu-Gi-Oh! Now, I've been watching the show for a couple months before then, but when I found out there was a card game, I jumped on it immediately. Because at the time, I had already been playing Magic. I had played Pokemon a couple years before that. So I jumped right on it, and I loved it. Like, me and my buddy Nate, we bought a bunch of structure decks, and thought we were so good at the game. And then we went to our first locals, and we got crushed week after week after week after week after week after week after week. And we just didn't know what the hell was wrong. But eventually, we learned, like, Feral Imp wasn't a good card. And, Horn of the Unicorn was a terrible card because it would just go back to the top of your deck, and then you'd have to keep drawing it. So we invested a lot of money into getting, Raigeki and, Dark Hole, Monster Reborn, all that kind of stuff. And then Metal Raiders hit, and I was the first person in the whole comic book store to get a Heavy Storm and a Barrel Dragon. And believe me, that feeling of having those cards was huge. Like, the only person to have Heavy Storm was me. Like, I have one of the best cards ever created. And I didn't even know what it was back then. I was like, I don't want to just draw my own Magic and Trap cards. Pfft. Then I lose my trap holes and my reinforcements. That's dumb. And I put it in my binder, but I never traded it. And then I discovered one day that everyone was playing it, like, that were like pro status when the regional started. And I was like, oh, thank God I have this card. It's so good. So, as you can tell, I started out, just like most new players. I didn't know a damn thing about what I was doing. And I didn't really get that much better until Pharaoh's Servant, when the first card I ever really liked came out, Hayabusa Knight. If you guys don't remember Hayabusa Knight, he's a level 3 warrior. He has 1,000 attack, and he can attack twice during the battle phase. And I thought to myself, I'm going to find a way to abuse this, because this just sounds awesome. And that set also came with Gravity Bind, which was also equally amazing. And I made literally the most annoying deck you'd ever have to play against. I ran Morphing Jar number 2s. I ran Giant Germs and Nibble Mangas. I ran Dream Clowns. I ran Crass Clowns. I ran Hayabusas. I ran, ridiculous things no one would ever run. But then I ran like 3 Acts of Despairs, and eventually United We Stand and Mage Power came out, and then Fusion Sword Murasami Blade, and the Marauding Captains were with it too, so I could get the Marauding Captain lock, and people just hated to play against me. And it came to the point where I was just winning a lot because people just gave up against me. They just didn't want to play against 3 Gravity Binds and all that crap. Because also, you gotta think, like, Heavy Storm was great. If I flipped Imperial Order and a Gravity Bind, you might as well just give up, because you're not going to get anything done against me at that point. You got all those spells sitting there, and I'm just going to summon a Jinzo at some point in my deck, negate my own Gravity Bind, but at that point I have an Imperial Order, but at that point I have a huge advantage. You probably set a bunch of traps now, and then I just push for game with Hayabusa, Axe of Despairs, and Jinzos, and there's nothing you can do about it. So I ended up winning a lot. And then I remember the Chaos Monsters hit, and Labyrinth the Nightmare. And God, that wasn't Labyrinth the Nightmare. It was Invasion of Chaos. I'm such an idiot. Whatever. Invasion of Chaos. Sorry. Oh God, that Chaos Emperor Dragon and the Yata Garasu lock was just the worst thing to play against. Ugh. Every time my buddy Jason hit that on me, I was just floored. It was just so annoying. Like, I never thought anyone could make a deck more annoying than me, and he did it with 2 cards. Just 2 cards. That was crazy to me. I couldn't deal with it. And I actually stopped playing for a couple weeks there just to cool off. I just couldn't handle it. And then as time went on, like through the years of high school, I kind of grew a little bit distance from it because after my first regional, where I just got decimated. It was just chaos deck after chaos deck after chaos deck after chaos deck, and I ended up going 5-3 with my Hayabusa Knight, which wasn't good enough for an invite. I thought it was good for a first regional, but it was soul crushing because everyone just played the same deck, and I hated that because no one at my locals would ever play the same deck. There'd be like maybe 3 people playing the same deck, but we had like 45 people when the game first started. So it was like not a big deal. You rarely played one of them unless they got really lucky and got good hands. Because at that point back in the day, everyone had like Raigeki and Harpy's Feather Duster, Monster Reborn, and all that crap. So it was just who drew the good cards first. You know, Pot of Greed, Grist of Charity, discard that Sinister Serpent, bring it back next turn for the Tribe Infecting Virus. Who doesn't remember that? I mean, that was ridiculous too. But basically, what I'm getting at is when it came to college, I just stopped playing. And I didn't play until I got out of college. So from 2005 until 2009, I just did not play the game at all. And then I got out of school, and I wanted to hang out. I was hanging out with my buddies again, and all of a sudden they were talking about Yu-Gi-Oh again, and they were still playing it. And I was like, "You guys are still playing this game, really?" And they're like, "Yeah, man, it got better. There's these things called synchros now. They're the shit, man. It's so easy to summon." And I'm like, "Really? Really? They're still around?" So I ended up checking it out again, and I got yanked right back in. So the first deck I played when I came back was a Spellcaster deck, and then the Machina Mayhem deck came out. I bought 3 of those. Didn't know how much D prisons were worth until I got that thing and realized they were freaking amazing. But I got those, and then I was just rampaging over everyone already with no synchros. I didn't even need synchros at that point. There was no reason to. You just played the 6 gadgets, the Machina cards. It was done. You just won. And I ended up taking that to regionals, and I ended up dropping 2-3, and I just got it was stupid. And then I started investing a little bit more of my money and my time into this game, and that's what you see here now. So I get to play all these really fun decks and show them to you guys, and that's just I love that. Like it's just so much fun to play the game right now. Like people complain all the time, like, "Oh, it's the same couple of decks that win everything," and I'm like, "Well, I'm not going to YCS. I just go to locals and have fun playing whatever." I played frogs. I played spaceships. I mean, I mess around with everything. I got a Gallus deck now. I got GBs for like the 90th time. I can put machines back together anytime I want. I played Infernities for a couple weeks. I played a Nordic deck. I played plants. I played a Flame Veil deck that I actually took to a YCS, and then last minute changed it to a Pure Karakuri deck, which is also a bunch of fun. So I've played a ton of decks, and I love mixing up my decks because it makes it so no one at locals can. Because what happens is if you play the same players all the time and they use the same decks, eventually if they start beating you all the time, you start siding that one extra card just for them, and I make it so it's not possible. So I win locals a lot, and then I just don't play the same deck next week because there are people in my locals who will do that. But real quick as to why I got into this YugiTube thing. I just wanted to share my knowledge of the game that I have and my psychological, like, advancement, I guess, over other people with you guys. What I'm really good at is dissecting what the other person's thinking, getting inside their head. And I'm thinking to them, do they have a dark hole? No? Yes, maybe? I mean, let's look through the graveyard. They haven't used it yet. What are the chances they have that? They only got 3 cards in their hand. What are the chances they're holding that dark hole? I'm not going to overextend this match. Nope. I'm not going to do it. So I know this guy. He's going to save his big thing for... He's going to save that Battle Fader, drop the dark hole next turn, I'm going to cry. So I'm not going to do it. And then I can bring that knowledge that I have and give that to you guys. And that makes me feel good, and I hope it makes you guys happy that I can share that knowledge with you guys. So, in closing, that's my story in Yugi. That's my story in YugiTube. Go subscribe to Team Dark Arm Monarchs, please. Help with this project, Doc. You don't have to give your life story like I did, but just give them a couple minutes of your time. Let them know what's up, and maybe you might make the video. Who knows? Until then, guys, everything with 223. Signing out.